quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello, friends. That's not good. Let's do it again. Hello, friends. And no, that's not good either. Sometimes I just can't get it.
Your brain is broke.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's okay. He's okay.
I'm fine. Hello, friends. And welcome.
This has to stay in now. This whole thing has to stay in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And welcome.
This is amazing.
And welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 123. Hi. I'm Lars, Casteen. I'm having a little bit of trouble over here, and I'm joined tonight by Robin Lange.
Good Lars time.
Zoe Chernicoff.
Good this time.
Yeah.
Whatever time this is, good for all of us.
I have no idea what time this is. David the Tin Man Chernicoff. Hi.
Good that, Lars.
And our Matt Humphreys is here as well.
Lars that time.
Oh, that was all fabulous. Well done.
We're recording this on the evening of it's a late September evening, and I have been burning the candle at both ends. I'm a little bit depleted. Things are a little bit raw for me right now. We're gonna do this show, right? There's this tabletop role-playing game that we play. We're gonna do the show. Yeah.
Do you want one of us to tap in?
It's fine. I'm fine. We're really excited. We've got fun stuff coming up in the show. It's going to be great. I'm just a little bit frazzled. I'm a little bit at the end of my rope. That ridiculous intro that you just heard, listener. One, I'm sorry for it. It gives you, I'm leaving it in because it's giving you some insight into exactly what's happening for me. And I feel like, connecting to an audience is something that's really important in podcasting, obviously. We don't want to give you a phony baloney show. We don't want to give you something fake, right? We want to
build relationships.
We want to build relationships. And sometimes that means showing yourself off at your absolute worst. And if that's what I have to do, that's what it's going to be, right? So this is all to say that we had this ridiculous chat topic that we were going to jump into right now. But given how unmoored and aimless this intro has been up until now, if I were to try to introduce that chat topic, you would hear it, listener, as these people have forgotten how to do a show.
It would create a black hole. It'd be like a reverse
I don't even know which chat topic you're talking about anymore now.
All right, well, wait. Then here's a different one. What's the most tired you've ever been?
Oh, I have an answer for that.
Do you have an answer for that?
Let's go with that one.
I always have an answer for something.
So we're going to answer that one. Should we? I'm never going to tell you what the chat topic was going to be. This is going to be a mystery that we take forever. You'll never know. I'll tell if we ever get a subscription service going, if we ever get a Patreon going, I will tell the first person who decides to give us money. I will tell them what the chat topic is.
At the $50 tier,
at an extravagant tier. Well, to be determined. But David, so we're talking about what's the tiredest you've ever been.
Yes.
I have I'm sure there's more. The one that always sticks out in my mind is freshman year of college, where I basically didn't end of first semester where I didn't sleep for 3 days. Ended with a holiday party with my friends that then afterwards we had to go, not had to, but went to see the last Lord of the Rings movie in the theaters. And we ended up in like the second row. I hadn't slept for 3 days. I'm sitting in the second row of this very packed theater on opening night at the last Lord of the Rings with the music blasting at me in the worst theater to have gone to see opening night. It was the Union Station Theater in DC, which is like infamous for people just yelling at the screen constantly.
I actually really like movie-going experiences like that, but
it didn't really like for the opening night of Lord of the Rings, wasn't quite the right vibe. And I just remember seeing this thinking like, Legolas, you're too fucking loud. And then having to catch a 5 a.m. train that I still had to stay awake for and not falling asleep until I finally got back to my parents for the winter break. And then I apparently slept for 2 days straight.
Oh, wow.
I love the idea that you were so tired in the movie that it wasn't even actually Lord of the Rings, Return of the King that you were seeing.
Right.
Like you were actually sitting in Love Actually or whatever else came out that year.
That season. That had been like a month before.
There you go.
Gimli has really gone downhill.
Yeah, Rob was just sitting in Love Actually screaming at Keira Knightley that she's not a good enough elf.
And thinking and wondering
why it's so loud.
Why Hugh Grant is just so handsome.
It's because he's foppishly charming.
Right?
I'm just so terribly sorry to say.
Was the situation of you going to see the movie at the train station that your plan was to get to the end of the movie and then just sit around the train station until your train came?
I wish we had planned, like there was no way to do that because I was packed with like all of my laundry and stuff. So I had to go back to my dorm in Foggy Bottom and then come all the way back to Union Station in like a 5-hour stretch.
It was a classic Foggy Bottom laundry drop situation.
Good old college, right? The fabulous decisions we make when we're 19.
All right, so now we know what's the tiredest Robin has ever been, and we know what's the tiredest Lars has ever been, because that was while he was attempting the intro to this episode.
In my defense, I have been more tired, but I have rarely tried to do as many things while being as tired as I am now.
Yes,
is the issue.
The number of things that you do for this show and the number of things you do all at once while we're recording this show is the equivalent of operating heavy machinery. It should not be done while you are fatigued or under the influence.
But only slightly under the influence. A little bit under the influence is okay.
Yeah. Buzzed forklift operating.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm better at operating a forklift after I've gotten,
Same.
1 or 2 in me.
More than sanctioned. I feel like I know the answer to this for Zoe. That the most tired you've ever been.
Single pinpoint. It's
it was 2019 through 2022. That was
that's right. Yeah, I feel like our son was a terrible sleeper. I don't know if one of whatever moment of that 18 months of our lives David will pick, but somewhere towards the end of it, I spent like after he was a month old. I got cold because it was January, and I feel like my immune system did not fully recover from that for like a year. Like just every 10 days, I got sick again, and like often just with cold.
We got healthy very briefly for about a 4-week period in early 2020, right before COVID. That was
honestly COVID was the thing that like got us healthy again because
right.
we didn't see anyone. The children stopped going to daycare. So in a way,
we replaced
small silver lining.
Seeing other people and being exposed to their germs with washing our hands 95 times a day for like a month, and then we all got healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of the time, David, that we had like a very extended family rollout of norovirus, and I got it last.
Oh no.
And I feel like by the time I got norovirus is like up there in moments where it was just like I don't know what to do. Like I hadn't slept more than like 2 hours at a time for probably like 8 months at that point. It was. Anyways, that feels more like that. It's not like the single overwhelming tired like in college where you stay up all night for a night or two. It was like dragging yourself through the sand and the beach. Like it had just been such a slog.
Yes. Yeah. Deep college tired is basically exciting and cool.
I was going to say, it feels sort of like indulgent and fun to me now.
Yeah,
and deep parenthood tired is the exact opposite. It is just totally prosaic and it's what's the opposite of a night of drinking where cool stuff happens? It's that.
I think also just like the second half of your 30s is also just a consistent level of tired that you're just not used to.
Right.
No, like
Which
no
is-
matter what, like we're all just. It's not that it's like the most tired I've ever been. It's just a constant state of tired.
And you don't really bounce back in the same way. Like, it's not like one good night of sleep and you're like, oh, I'm good. It's like,
Yes.
okay, now
Yeah.
I need 2 weeks alone. But that's
It's your
not gonna
body
happen.
giving up and trying to tell you something for like half a decade until you start listening.
Young listeners, you have this to look forward to.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming all of our listeners are much too young to identify with really any part of this conversation. So that's good.
That's right. That's right. The constant talk of how tired we are hasn't turned off any of them yet.
Armet, do you have any memories of tiredom?
I have plenty. I sort of don't know which of them to choose because I think I'm like fairly consistently an insomniac, so I like my whole sleep schedule is fucked to begin with.
Are you a
yeah.
are you a can't fall asleep, wake up and can't get back to sleep, or wake up too soon guy?
I'm more the first. I just basically when I start to get tired at the end of the day, my body goes into like, we're gonna do it
Yeah.
mode,
Right.
and then I'm like up till 4 a.m. and then
Right. And then at 1:45, it seems like a really good idea to eat a meal because it's been a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're hungry.
yeah,
I've
oh, God,
no idea
I'm
what you're
still
talking
awake.
about.
I've just watched so much X-Files. I deserve this.
Right.
Yeah. And
I
X-Files
have to
actually, it isn't
replenish.
any good until like 2:15, 2:30 at the absolute earliest. That's when you got
That
to start.
is very true. I have to say that show does not hold up as well as I wish it did.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I'm so tired today is that I was streaming Baldur's Gate with Armat last night, and to wind down, I decided to start watching Magnolia, which is a 3.5 hour long
Lars.
movie.
How is
Yeah.
that your wind down?
I was just thinking about Magnolia, y'all. I was like, I wonder what that
Great
movie's
movie.
like now.
Getting done with a night of streaming and winding down by putting on Magnolia is like when you feel like you're too drunk at a bar and then you decide to order a round of tequila shots.
Yeah,
It's like,
it was
oh,
like-
no.
Right.
Oh,
That's
the
why
thing-
I'm not like blaming my life. These are all choices that I've made that everybody is going to suffer for. And that's the situation. I'm sorry, but that's just where we are right now. That's parenthood, guys. That's how it goes. You do things wrong and then other people pay the price.
And also you.
And me too. Speaking of that, let's move on to some podcast talk. Let's talk about a podcast. I want to thank people who make the excellent choice, not a bad choice, but a great choice to leave reviews of our show on the various podcast applications. And I want to call out this review that came in on Apple Podcasts from Burger Pimp, who leaves this review saying, David Chernicoff, more like David Chernick is the subject
Hey.
line.
I get it. I like it.
Yeah.
It took me a minute. I heard the cough before the off.
I see. Yes. David Chernick off, more like David Chernick on. And they say a lot of nice things. They say that they've been listening to the show for a year, that they kick off their Monday morning with it. And if that's what you're doing today, I hope you're having a great Monday. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Thank you so much to Burger Pimp for leaving that review. It is extremely helpful for us. And I don't know if you can tell from this intro, but we need all the help we can get.
Thank you, Burger Pimp.
Thank you, Burger Pimp.
Let's move on. Let's play our game. You've emerged from an evening delving through the personal effects and research of your former companion, Haplo. Although you haven't uncovered any new secrets of the Rose Guard or the illicit motivations of the wizard Zarmavdian, you have come out with details about Haplo's interests, perhaps some more closure, and most surprisingly, a mysterious staff covered in strange carvings sitting alongside a heartfelt note for Isthan, Haplo's estranged son. After returning to your lodgings for the evening, The sun has set on this eventful spring day, and it is time to settle into bed and get some desperately needed rest. Unplanned thematic connection. We're going to start this.
Is there a way to give you a hero point for that?
Yeah. Let's do.
Tyrant, maybe?
We are
Golden
going
tyrant?
to start this episode off as everybody is settling into bed. We're going to check in on Mag.
And Mag has returned this night, as she typically does, to the Dawnflower Library. And will now enter that chamber with Mag and watch as she removes each layer of her gear with practiced, rigorous grace, quickly refilling each depleted pouch and pocket from a separate supply set on a table before her, arraying each weapon, raiment, and appurtenance carefully beside the previous in reverse order to enable an efficient redecking come morning. Once unclad, she bathes, dons fresh underlayers, briskly dries and rebraids her hair. She grabs a light hammer and drops heavily onto a bed that, like most, won't truly fit her frame, but on which she'll make do. She lays still, not tense exactly, though by no means relaxed, stares grimly at the ceiling as night descends around her. Hours pass. At some point, in spite of herself, she slips into sleep. We see Mag's face in profile, illuminated by a faint flicker of candlelight. On the wall behind her, a window rattles, gently, as if blown by the wind. From a wider view, we see that we're now no longer in that room at Dawnflower. We're now in a bunkhouse of a barracks. And this is not the fully adult Mag we watched reset her gear after a day shouldering the burdens of Gauntlight Keep. This is Mag of 20-ish years, perhaps 18 or 22, in the worn uniform of the town guard between shifts on its night's watch. The window rattles a second time, ever so slightly louder, this time unmistakably as though someone outside is attempting to tamper with it. Mag's eyes jolt open, suddenly fully awake, though the rest of her remains motionless. Another rattle, this time louder again, and even more obviously the work of someone or something outside. To an unfamiliar ear, it would sound inartful, amateur. To Mag's ears, it is anything but. This rattling is intentionally, cunningly, just enough noise to rouse her while masking itself to anyone else in the garrison as the fumblings of a thief or a prankster. The perfect cover. The work of a brilliant and focused mind, of an obsessive, of an assassin. Within Mag, as on so many prior nights, an ocean starts to roil. Always, since she was young, wave upon wave of terror. Though as she has aged, the fear has grown familiar, never subsiding, but no longer compelling. Over time, new emotions have emerged and made their way in, commingling with the fear like streaks of brightly colored paint poured into the dark blue of a whirlpool. Shame at being hunted and caught, hurt and scarred, at grasping inarticulately for help, at seeming to be heard by people saying they cared but who wouldn't truly listen, wouldn't set aside their own stories and assumptions, wouldn't truly believe or help her. Fatigue at knowing what would come next that night, what always came next, what had to come next, though it would amount to nothing, reveal nothing, change nothing, the part in the pantomime that she must once again play. Rousing herself in silence, emerging into frigid air in the dead of night to walk to the edge of the wood and stand out in the open, staring into every shadow, glimpsing only hints of movement from something she knows must be enormous and barely concealed, hearing only inarticulate sounds from something she knows could speak to her if it chose, giving it the sacrifice it demands of her, standing exposed. the haze of lost sleep the next day, the day after. Nothing is more tiring than knowing how tired you're about to be. And as the feelings mix within her, the fear and shame and fatigue, she sees once again the new color emerging from their recombination. There it is. Rage. The only thing over which she maintains discretion. The only thing no one can keep from her. The only experience that can't be undermined, fragmented, and atomized by others' disregard. When her experiences and fears have been unraveled and dissolved by schoolmates, family, comrades in arms, strangers in the square, even the kindest of novices at Dawnflower, outwardly sympathetic but privately disbelieving, there remains only one tether to her past, her identity, herself, her rage. Still lying in the dark, she opens herself to its embrace, gives that internal valve a half turn and lets it run in. We see her face again in profile, still unmoving, unwavering save those open eyes. Eyes that now go slowly bloodshot from glass to rose to deepest crimson. She breathes deeply, once. She swings her legs gracefully around, slips out of the bunk, and stands with scarcely a sound. The rattling stops. Outside, she starts to slip unseen around the perimeter wall of the garrison's interior courtyard, retracing the route she's taken on so many recent nights, to the nearest gate that will let her through the fortress walls out into the open to repeat the bizarre ritual once more, knowing that it, whatever it is, whoever it is, will be making its way out too. Nerves taut to breaking, but maddened no longer by the fear so much as the sameness. Then, Something is different. The courtyard is usually deserted, but there at the edges of her vision, partway to the far wall, movement. Someone else is here, awake unexpectedly, torch in hand, investigating, throwing shadows across the far wall. Recognition comes to Mag. It's Rasheen, her bunkmate and partner in the watch, the only other woman to enter training when she did. Why is she out here? And just as the recognition comes, no. Rasheen's figure splashed with moonlight, standing alone in the middle of the courtyard, drops. Mag screams, surges forward, sprints to and reaches the spot where Rasheen fell, unclasps a club from behind her back so she can stoop and heft the inert body, slinging it onto a shoulder, then stumbles forward, encumbered and clumsy, staggering toward the infirmary, praying she might be fast enough. And as she runs, more figures appear before her. Familiar faces, her sisters, her parents, Vandy, a kind-eyed logger who'd worked for her family in her youth, would slip her an apple and a whittled figure of a sheep or a horse or a badger before ambling off to the woods with her father, each one a person toward whom she could recall having felt some hope. As she sprints across the yard, she nears them each in turn, and as she nears each one, they drop in succession. Approach and fall away. Approach and fall away. These phantoms barely register as she stumbles at last to the infirmary, where she screams once more and kicks against the door. In moments it flies open. Hands reach out to lift from her shoulders Rasheen's limp body. No, she already knows. Rasheen's corpse, burying it inside, leaving Mag heaving for breath in the chill of the small morning hours. And then she sees it. The hand she's used to gather up Rasheen's form, the 4 fingers of that hand are somehow inexplicably gone, each shorn off cleanly at the joint. Slowly, she turns her gaze from her wounded hand, looking back into the depth of the night, already knowing what she'll see. And there it is, drifting earthward, twisting slowly from above until it settles on the ground, same as always. Twin black feathers, quills affixed by a thin band of shimmering gold ribbon dropped from an empty sky. She doesn't think to scream this time, just whispers. Whispers, because she knows whoever it is, whatever it is, will hear. Whispers as she slowly turns, the rage subsiding and the blood lowering from her eyes. Whispers, "Why me?" Back in her room at the Dawnflower, on this night, Mag has whispered the words aloud, and they are enough to rouse her. She lies motionless on the bed, only her open eyes betraying her wakefulness. Sleep has gone. Instead, another night, alone with the thoughts that recede to peripheral vision during daytime, then return come dark when all the other thoughts and tasks and items on lists have danced themselves away. What do you do when you can see that the world is going to burn? No one else around you sees. When you show them there, and they won't look. When you find the words, summon the nerve to describe what's there, and still, they won't listen. How do you summon any motivation to carry on about your day, to work on this or fix that, to not fall too far behind on the washing, when it's clear to you, so terribly clear as your own name, that soon enough, it'll all crumble away, replaced by untold and unimaginable suffering? What do you do when you know you ought to just stay asleep, but no matter what you tell yourself, you can't?
Woo! Woo! David, I don't even know what to say in reaction to that. There's just like so much, like there's so many cool moments that I'm like I want to know more about. I want to know more about Rasheen. I want to know about what it was like for Mag to join the town guard. I want to know about what was it? It was it's like 2 feathers tied together, the strand of gold left by
some mysterious tormentor. I know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Also, I can't believe how much the tiredness.
It was about sleep.
It is exactly what it is
Perfectly
that I'm
thematic,
going through right now.
I mean, I'm not the only one thinking that Magaloy must be the villain behind all of this, right?
I would have gotten away with it too.
The word for that meddling barbarian.
My plan to, for no reason, murder a member of the town guard. I have no motive.
Oh, well, I'll just go open a bar. I have no motive.
Why would I do this? As the sun rises on the next day, it is Serenith the 17th. It is a beautiful day. It's heating up a little bit. There are some gusts of wind later on in the day as the temperature reaches up into the high 80s, starting to move on into summer. In 4 days, it will in fact be summer. And today is a small preview of what is to come. I want to mention to you, when you wake up in the morning, if you go looking for Jafaki's infused alchemical items, they have denatured. They have disintegrated. They're garbage now. Throw them out.
The soul of Nancy, gone to heaven.
The soul of Nancy.
And the soul of all those alchemical goodies.
We've lost 2 companions.
Legends.
Today. 1, Nancy. 2, a bunch of alchemical bombs.
A bunch of chemicals.
Such a shame.
A bunch of cursed gunk.
And some alchemical bombs. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Take that, Nancy.
Boom.
Thank you, girl. We love you.
We love you. Pouring out for Nancy. Pour 1 useless, formerly alchemist fire out for Nancy.
Right.
That's already expired.
Into the compost heap.
So
Nancy.
we're doing a little bit of a town episode right now. We're doing a little bit of downtime. we're going to talk a little bit to figure out exactly what it is that we're going to be doing. I'm going to let you know right now, we're going to be out of linear time. We're kind of just going to tell the story of this town visit on a bunch of different days. However long we're in town, we're going to grab moments from this town stay. In addition to anything that comes up in this session, there's also going to be some shopping and other things like that happening along the way. So we're just picking and choosing the moments that we want to talk about right now. And all I want to do right now is I just want to get a sense of everything that's happening right now. We're just going to blow through it like with a list of bullet points, and then we're going to break into each of these individual moments as they come up. But I just want to get a sense of how much time we're in town for. So, is anybody going to be doing any retraining? I feel like that's the longest term project that we're going to be looking at.
Ao's got an agenda now that she's back in town.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else is.
Retraining one thing or two things? Or three things? How much stuff are we retraining?
One skill feat and one general feat.
Interesting. This is something that we teased the other day. So it looks like we're going to be in town for at least 10 days as this. And I think it makes some sense. Tell me if you disagree with this, but like the last moments in the dungeon, I think probably let you know that you're dealing with something a little more oppressive and a little more dangerous than what you had seen before. You know, you had that experience of the Gug shocking you and forcing you to run away. Then this strange wisp came after you and started like making it clear that it was not safe for you to even rest where it was that you were trying to rest. If any time is a time to level up your stuff, it's now. Are we doing a little bit of forging?
Yes. For sure, at least a little bit. But if we have 2 full weeks here in town while retraining is happening, then probably some more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And I think I've gotten some notes from folks about a couple of other things that we want to do that we'll tackle along the way. So as we're doing this, as we're playing through this downtime, just try to keep in mind how many days we have. The number is 10. Try to keep in mind how many of those you're using on something else. And at the end of this process, we'll get a sense of if anybody's earning income, and we'll figure out if anybody's doing odd jobs around town, what it is that they're doing. And that'll be the last thing that we do before we skip on out of town after this downtime. So, first up, let's talk retraining. Zoe, do you want to do this one at a time, or do you want to knock them out both at once?
I think the two of them kind of go hand in hand in my mind. I mean, they're different things, but like from a character perspective, these two retrainings are... I think Ao has gained some confidence from the Jafaki stuff, right? Like she had this sort of big goal that was not just the light in the lighthouse, but like ending the process, finding the guy who did it, holding him accountable. And I think like with that has come a little bit of personal growth, just a little. You know, she's still 17. Nothing's going to get perfect immediately. But also like a desire as she gains new wands, new bracelets, new things that help her do stuff, to be more certain about what she can accomplish and to know she can do it herself. That like she doesn't need to rely on anyone. Like she's sort of shoring up her own abilities. I think she came in as Norman, who was kind of conning his way into stuff. And I feel like as the character grows, she's like looking to actually gain more confidence rather than just sort of braggadocio about it.
Absolutely, it makes sense. Like this is something that I think about a lot, where it's like the things that we've heard on this adventure are sort of the coda to Ao going through this like life-changing moment. Ao's very young. This is one of those times in somebody's life where everything is changing. Ao is like so malleable. Ao is changing. Ao is growing and evolving all the time.
Literally changing forms.
Yeah.
All different creatures.
Exactly. So what specifically are we doing, and how do we think that looks, Zoe?
Speaking of changing all the time, again, literally, she is going to swap out. So she has had Kitsune Spell Mysteries as a general feat from some ungodly long time ago. To be honest, it's just she doesn't really ever use those spells. It gives her, I guess, I have to pick each morning between Illusory Object, Sanctuary, and Bane.
3 spells that you just don't like.
Yeah, I've just never used them. But what she does use is turning into things, and I think there have been a few times where she wanted to have even more detailed form shifting. And she has not been able to do that. So she's going to retrain that general feat to Shifting Faces, which will give me, I guess it's a level 3 illusory disguise, which means I can now not only change to be something my size, but to be a specific person.
Yeah, you can change into anybody that you have seen. So be careful out there.
Watch out.
Who you show a picture of yourself
Terrible.
to, because and this is the best version of illusory disguise. You can heighten it above 3rd level. It doesn't do anything remotely different. Yeah, Zoe, this opens up so many shenanigans.
No, I'm excited, and I think I'll actually use this. I feel like for now, she's not quite ready to part with the red hat, which has been helping her change, but perhaps she's looking for a place where it can be of use in the future.
Yeah.
And then the second change is getting rid of a skill feat. I'm trying to remember.
What was it?
That's the thing.
Do we not have...
Oh, no, you know what it is here? No,
Yeah.
it's a chain thing, because then I have backup disguise as a skill feat, which is not that helpful when you have illusory disguise.
Do you have
so
backup
she's-
disguise as a skill feat?
I believe
Have we
so.
just been... Okay. Then, okay.
It just became irrelevant when I got the hat. My backup disguise that I trained as was Belcorra, which I tried to use once and someone immediately saw through.
Right. Yeah.
They were like, no, you're not Belcorra.
Oh, you don't look like. Who's that?
Bye, Felicia.
Not Belcorra looking lady over there.
That's right. So anyways, backup disguise, not needed, obsolete. And I'm going to take... I think she's also become a little more mindful of her fellow party in the last 2 days, which have been 100 days. I think the last encounter kind of scared her. You know, Norman similarly conned his way into healing people. With Vadim's departure, I think she's like taken that mantle a bit more and is taking it more seriously. So I know we joke, but Ao is going to take Assurance and Medicine, which will basically give me a guaranteed success on both Battle Medicine and Treating Wounds.
David, how's it going?
Is that it? Are we getting divorced?
No, I'm as with many things that don't work out for me. I would love if it worked out for you.
Okay, well, let's just talk for people who don't know this game that well. There's controversy around Assurance. People are like, is Assurance good enough? Is it not good enough? If any version of Assurance is good enough, according to the discourse, it's Assurance Medicine. Because...
Well, guaranteed success, as Zoe just described it, would
Yeah.
be incredibly useful. And it sounds like it would actually be assured, so there's a certain kind of narrative
Logic.
satisfaction to
Yeah.
that. I don't know.
Labeling.
Yeah, it definitely lives up to the name in a way that maybe other options have not. We don't need to go into it. There's no reason to relitigate this. Unless we want to, in which case we could just spend the next 45 minutes talking about this. It's up to you.
I've written a 35-minute dream sequence for Mag about it. So
The episode will be called Assurance, and anyone who complains about it had a very obvious signal at the outset of what they were
yeah,
doing.
everybody
that's
buckle up.
I do feel like at least following a lot of the conversation in our Discord, to boost our Discord for a minute, has also kind of helped me think about the different ways in which Assurance can work. Because there are some people who have some very strong feelings
What?
that basically saying that David is wrong and David was just misusing Assurance.
I see both sides.
Oh, no, I probably
and
agree with them.
I just feel like I'm learning more about it through all the conversations I see.
I feel as
I
though
appreciate it.
anybody who has a pro Assurance athletics argument is like has a sort of countenance of a young optimist stepping off of the subway for their first day out of their great job in the big city.
Everybody's
Bless their souls.
talking at me.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you spend a little time trying to make it work, you're like, I don't know, guys. I don't think this is really working out the way that the interview made it sound.
I don't. Does Assurance? Is it just that Assurance in athletics sucks unless you're actually not athletic? But like, if you're not athletic, why would you do athleticism checks?
You know, I was joking about spending 45 minutes talking about it, but let's go. Let's
Giddy
do
up.
it.
like, what if Trill took Assurance in athletics?
Yeah. I think that'd be hilarious. And you should do it. I think that would be great for our program. Please do it.
It would certainly ensure us to get a little bit more downtime episodes.
Everyone else is more than welcome to take Assurance in athletics.
Okay. So Ao.
You've sold me. So I'm going to do assurance and athletics.
Oh, okay.
instead of medicine.
Interesting.
No.
A late game pivot, but one that I respect.
Outrageous.
No, so Ao's retraining those two.
So Ao is like hard at work every day, training at what's the good training location for Ao? I kind of
I feel like
forget.
at Rins.
Is
At
it Rins?
Rins. Let's say
I
that
feel like
she's
everything
training
for
at
AO's
Rins.
at Rins.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And in my mind, she spends the first 5 days like taking the hat off and sort of like willing herself to change. And it's like one feature at a time. And then she spends the second 5 days re-upping the gambit that got her into, up to her medicine game, which is going around town, impersonating other people, mugging them, and then healing them.
I thought it was
Running
going to
around the
be.
corner.
I thought it was going to be just all methods of AO getting out of doing the dishes.
I can't do
It's
them.
a little of that.
It's I'm you. I can't do it.
Ren's like, Lars does the good Ren voice, but I feel like she's like,
Why do you look like? Hey, why do you look like that?
Stop it.
Don't do that.
stop it.
Stop,
Belcorra?
please. Belcorra has risen and she is doing my dishes.
No, she's not. She's
No,
won't
she
do the
isn't.
dishes.
Belcorra is leaving all
she
these dirty
refuses
dishes.
to.
Okay,
Somehow even more disturbing than what she did in the past.
this is a crime that Otari will never recover from.
She just left the yolk on the plate. That's horrifying.
You have to soak that. Honestly.
Why are
It's
there-
never coming off now.
Why are there so many knives, each with a tiny little bit of peanut butter? Why
Just-
always peanut butter?
Just leave that one knife on the edge of the sink because you know you're going to make another sandwich.
Belcorra, you always eat 2 sandwiches. Just use the same knife twice. So I want to break into something else right now as this is happening at the same time that Ao is studying, working. Ao is spending this entire time back in town, single-mindedly fixated on this expansion of her abilities. But there is something else that, Robin, you said you were interested in doing during this downtime, or you said that Trill was interested in doing.
Yeah.
In broad
So-
strokes, what is it that you want to do?
Well, so I imagine the morning after visiting Haplo's house, Trill wakes up in her room at Crow's Cask, and knowing that they're probably going to be there for, a little bit, starts thinking about her next steps. Because while I feel like Trill's kind of long-term goals are still a little vague, like besides from just wanting to travel around the world and see everything so that she can avoid the bleaching, like that's the big old thing for Trill. But if we're thinking short-term goals right now for her, it's really her focus. She has now become the kind of monomaniacal one, very focused on saving Doriana. And in thinking about how Haplo would investigate everything and look so deeply in things and seeing the way he kind of in that mess was such a researcher, Trill decides to do a little researching. Well, I guess investigation is more of the term. And Trill takes out a pencil and a notepad, and that pencil is kind of a special pencil. She got it from Doriana, who's quite the studious young lady.
Mm.
And Trill decides, she starts thinking that why is it that Doriana has been targeted? Is it that Doriana is specifically the eldest child right now of the Menemes family? Or is it that she's just the child of a powerful family?
Right, because you guys have this theory right now that there is a plot to target the descendants of the Rose Guard.
Yeah, so that would make sense then for Doriana, for it to just be just Doriana. But what if there's more to it than that? And so Trill starts thinking, who could she talk to? Who could she go see to get a better idea of what's going on with the youth? And so she decides to go visit Inkelholtz Manor. Because is it Ayana Inkelholtz?
Alimora Inkelholtz.
Alimora, because Alimora runs the school.
Yeah.
She's the head of a important family in town. Alimora feels like someone we haven't really met yet. And I think this is the opportunity to get some more information there, see what else is out there for us to know?
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Ali Mora aside from 2 sort of town gatherings. She was at Haplo's funeral was the first time that we saw her. And she was also at the Otari Memorial 500. So
Very important event.
yeah, and just to refresh everybody, the Inkelholtzes are one of the 3 families that use the Giant's Wheel, that use the lumber yard on the eastern side of town, owned by Menhemez. The facility, the lumber facility, is used by the 3 families, the Menhemezes, the Inkelholtzes, and the Chertels. And they're sort of like the 3 big families that are the closest thing that this town has to nobility, basically. They're an entrepreneurial class that, in the case of Menhemez, he's rolled it into politics. For Inkelholtz, she uses it to run the institution of the school in town. And for Chertel, we haven't really checked in on much. But
Next steps.
rumors persist around town of Rab Chertel, the patriarch of the Chertel family, has this kind of reputation of being the kind of businessman that will do whatever it takes to get ahead. Alamora Inkelholtz does not have any such reputation. She is known for her philanthropy, her magnanimity to the townsfolk, the way that she provides the service to any child in town to get the best education that she is able to provide to them. So, Trill, on one of these late spring, early summer mornings, approaches Inkelholtz Manor on the western side of town. This is a beautiful manor house, second only in size to the home of Osif Menhemez. The residential portion of the house that Alamora lives in sort of sits apart from the schoolhouse portion. Like, she has converted the section of the house that would have been for entertaining guests into a schoolhouse, retrofitted it to have a pair of classrooms. There's a small gravel pathway leading around the edge of the house to a white door abutted by 2 windows. So you can peek in and see the interior of the schoolhouse. And the windows are carved with not stained glass, but framed glass, like wooden framing, showing the image of waves crashing in on the door itself.
Cool.
And as you turn around, you see the inner sea down the hill behind you, and you get the sense that the sort of nautical theme of the harbor is something that has been embraced in a lot of the detail work of this manor house.
I dig it. So is school going on at this moment? Is school in session?
School is not going on. Summer break has actually just started. We're at the end of Serenith, so school maybe ended 2 or 3 days ago. And if you peer in the window, you can see that there's some cleanup happening in the hallway that you're able to see into, with the 2 school rooms on either side of the hallway. The door is actually a little bit open, as it seems as though people have been passing in and out of this door down the hallway to clean up the school and get everything put away for summer.
The Trill kind of knocks on the door, try to be a little loud, see if anyone can hear her, and sticks her head in as it's open. Hello? Is anyone there?
You hear a voice call from the distance. Come on in. Just come on back. It's open. Come on in.
And Trill follows the voice.
Okay. You follow the voice into a classroom, and you see Alimora Inkelholtz herself tidying things up. She's a half-elf woman in her mid-50s. And as she looks up at you from the desk that she's cataloging books on, you can see that she has a very alert look and long, fashionable hair that you imagine she might have traveled into Absalom to get done. She's wearing work clothes today. She has a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up to the elbows. And as she stands up to approach you from behind this desk, you see that she's wearing a light blue pair of pants. They're both unassuming, modest articles of clothing, but clearly of incredible workmanship. She's wearing nice things that indicate relatability and connection to the common person.
What does Trill know about her family right now? Like, is she married? Does she have children? Because we know about the philanthropy and the school. I don't want to like step on toes. I don't want to like say something that's going to insult her. So I'm trying to think back to everything I know, everything Trill would know.
You know that Alimora is single and has no children of her own, at least no children in town. It's possible that she has adult children who have moved elsewhere in the world, but you're not aware of anything like that. The main thing you know about her is that she is the owner of, like I said, the second logging concern in town called Whistledown Cutters. And
I like that name.
The main thing you know about her is how frequently people in town are trying to encourage her to run for mayor. But for now, she seems to be happy doing business, running this school, and looking after, like acting as a sort of patron of the town.
Well, good morning, Miss Inkelholtz.
Hello, Trillfist Huddleup. Welcome to welcome to our humble school. It's surprising to see the young heroes doing the dangerous work of keeping our little slice of nirvana here on the map at the school. But I'm of course thrilled to see you, and even more thrilled to get a sense of how it is that I might be able to help you.
Well, your school here's beautiful. All the woodworking is just absolutely stunning. The kids must love coming in here in the mornings.
We got incredibly lucky finding this property. I have to tell you. Of course, my father inherited the home from my grandfather, and we've worked together to make sure that things maintain the essence and the tone of the house as it originally existed. When I first decided to build this schoolhouse here, my father was, of course, it took some convincing to go along with it, but I think that the good that we do in this town is more than worth the changes that we've made to the home.
Your family's been in Otari for a long time, yeah?
That's right. We've been here for the last 75 years or so. It's the place I've called home since I was a little girl.
That's amazing. I was thinking, being the teacher, you must just know everyone. Being both, Inkelholtz and running this amazing school, you must just, I can't imagine anyone who would know more people in town than you.
Well, I do keep to myself. I know the kids well, but of course they all, once they leave the school, they go on and hopefully we've prepared them for the challenges of this world. And I don't often hear back from a lot of them, but I do feel as though I know people as they start. But of course, everyone goes on their own journey afterwards.
Don't I know it?
I'm a little confused as to why you're here.
And Trill kind of gets closer to her in more kind of a conspiratorial manner.
I don't know if you know exactly what's going on with the mayor's family right now. I know Doriana was finishing up her schoolwork still. Have you seen her at all recently?
And she looks immediately concerned. She's like, that's why you're here. Yes, I had heard something had happened with Doriana. She squints at you and she says, I just assumed she was ill. That's not something that would require any intervention from you. So there must be something far more serious going on with her.
And as you can imagine, from all of the information I think that's been turning up from our expeditions, that everything we talk about here is kind of on the DL, right?
I don't know your modern slang, but of course, whatever it is that you're saying it's on, that's what it's on.
It's like we're just gonna keep it between us.
On the
Well, I've
Dampier's,
spent-
on the Dampier
lounger.
Yeah. I've been spending a lot of time with Doriana recently trying to help
On the
her. And it's
Dawnflower Library.
on the Dawnflower.
Let's file-
On the Dawnflower.
She's- Let's file this conversation away in the Dawnflower Library.
That's our new slang. I like it.
We're doing everything we can. Right now, my top priority is I truly believe that if we can help Doriana with what is happening with her right now, that will also help the town. And I guess my question is to you is, how are the other children? Are the kids all right?
I think the kids are all right, is what I'm hearing.
You haven't heard about anyone else, any other children of important families around town suddenly taking ill and staying home?
She stops you. She says, "I believe that all of the families in town are important."
I love that.
But
you
she
know
got
what I
my
mean.
vote.
And
Did
no
you
one
like
can
that?
convince you to run for
Did that
mayor?
make me sound relatable and nice?
It really did. I imagine posters that say Inkelholtz or bust.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, I'm not interested in pursuing politics at the moment, but you never know what the future will bring. So no, the kids seem fine. I haven't seen anything. Of course, Doriana has been out of classes, but she's the only conspicuous absence that we've had.
Okay, interesting. And in the past, you've had the school running for 30 years now?
30 years coming up next year.
Have you noticed any other moments of people around Doriana's age mysteriously vanishing or being hidden away?
She shakes her head. She says, "No, but it's interesting that you ask about Doriana, actually, because there is something that happened a little bit before she left. Some of our instructors became convinced that Doriana had been cheating.
How so?
Well, the conversation that I had with one of them, she would ask questions of the class, and Doriana would interrupt with the answer before she was even done asking them. So she had gotten it into her head that Doriana had somehow gotten a hold of the questions and knew what was going to be asked before the asking was complete. I thought that the idea that Doriana would cheat, I don't even know how she would cheat. I thought it was ludicrous. I would always come to Doriana's aid. She's been nothing but a consummate student, so there's never any evidence of cheating.
Yeah, from what I could tell, her studies are pretty important to her. Have you ever noticed any magical abilities in her? Any other strange events around her?
That's not exactly my area of expertise. I don't know much about magic. I will tell you that she has been a lifesaver for me sometimes. I sometimes think that she's magic. I can be a little scatterbrained, and I do spend some days wandering between the classrooms trying to find one thing or another. I'm always misplacing this or that or the other thing. And Doriana has become incredibly helpful to me. I don't know that there's anything magic about it, but she always seems to know what I'm looking for and manages to find it.
Does it feel like she's reading your mind?
It's funny that you say that. I would joke with her a little bit that that's what was happening, yes.
Fascinating. I mean, because we know that she comes from a line of, if we go back far enough, very talented adventure.
Well, of course, Sefna was a consummate cleric.
Yeah.
I don't know that Doriana
I
is
wonder.
particularly religious, though.
But there's...
And Trill just very silently kind of puts her chin on her fist for a moment and just is trying to mull over this idea of where Doriana could get this ability to read minds or precognition or whatever it truly is that's going on with her.
Do you want to do an occultism check to see what you know about psychic abilities?
Absolutely.
Great. And that sounds like oddity identification to me because that's mental, baby.
Love to hear it.
Oddity.
And so with oddity identification on that as well, that's a 29.
29. This is easy for Trill. You're trying to get a sense of what it is that you know about psychic abilities, psychic awakenings, the occult magic, the occult energies, traveling into people's minds. And based on what it is that you're hearing from Alimora, it seems very plausible to you that Doriana had psychic abilities that were starting to awaken right before she fell ill.
I wonder.
And she's not saying this out loud to
Alimora.
why do I keep
Alimora's like, you're being silent. What is it? Just kidding.
But I imagine, I'm wondering if this sense or this awakening abilities, she didn't know how to control them. She opened her mind up too much, allowing this motley man in. Who in town might know more about psychic abilities?
She looks from side to side and she looks at you.
Oh, yeah,
and
Who do you, is there anyone, do you think maybe the Dawnflower Library or one of the bookstores or anyone else? Do we have any psychics in town? You know, I know there were those triplets. We dealt with those guys, but
Of course, we loved the triplets. Everybody loved the triplets. It was amazing to
Magnifique.
Très très bien.
have. Très bien. She
No
looks.
No one loved them more than Trill.
It's true.
Yeah, they were the quadruplets that Trill loved.
But she looks from side to side and she says, Trillfus, if there's anybody in town who could possibly know what's going on here, it's you.
And Trill's eyes open.
wow, you really are a great teacher.
Thank you. Do you think I should run for mayor?
If you can inspire the town like you just inspired me, yes. And Trill plays a little song on her harp, or on her lute, for Alimora, and thanks her and heads out.
Of course, I have no interest at this time.
But you ever need like a campaign song, hit me up, okay?
She looks at you meaningfully for a second, and she says, I, of course, have no plans at this time.
In case it ever comes up.
Trillfus, I love the job I have.
This job keeps me so busy, and the work that we do here is so important.
Trill's old mentor is still hanging around, drinking in Crow's Cast, probably, right?
Yeah. Probably.
So, I think Trill thanks her, and I think it's gonna head back to Crow's Cask. I don't think there's any conversation like we need to have here. I imagine she just starts kind of thinking out loud to Fidget. Not that he's going to give any other information, so we don't need to roll.
Yeah.
You don't need to pull that voice out again, friend.
He's wasted. He's going to be wasted for 10 straight days, I think, is the weather
Amazing.
forecast on him being wasted.
Amazing. And so then
He's
for the rest
really
of the days, as
tired,
Trill
that guy.
is
He's so tired. He's trying
as
to
Trill
do
is
so much.
believing in herself, as Trill is strongly believing in herself and trying to figure this out, she is going around playing her harp in different bars.
What else do we have on the agenda? We were talking a little bit before about Mag doing a little bit of crafting.
Yes. Especially if we are sticking around this long for everyone to hone their skills. Well, so stepping out of game for a moment,
Yeah.
I, David, came across
Oh, yeah. This is fun.
what I think is a new weapon.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
What? Tell us about it. Tell us what it is.
Okay. I think it's a new weapon because I genuinely I believe that there was like new whatever gear or things added to the system at some point.
Yeah, all the time.
It is, of course, equally plausible that this thing was there the whole time and I missed it.
No.
But I really think that it wasn't.
Well, tell us what it is, and I'll tell you when it came into the game.
Okay, it is a type of melee weapon, a hammer, called an Earthbreaker, which is a hammer that can be wielded with either one or two hands. When I found this, I was not exactly I guess I was looking for something else. And when I came across this, I thought, wait a second, that's exactly the hammer that I was looking for when Mag melted down Haplo's bastard sword into a hammer for herself when she took the Mauler dedication a couple of levels ago. I was looking for a hammer that could be either a one or two-handed weapon, just the way a bastard sword is, and I couldn't find one. So I went with the two-handed maul, and ever since then, I've had this extra little goofy mechanical wrinkle where sometimes I need a hand free to do stuff like scratch an itch or retrieve a dead comrade from the ground or whatever. And all of a sudden I've got to... Yeah, I've got to... sorry again
Trilthus has
about that whole
chat.
attack of opportunity thing. And so like having to like be thinking about where my hands are all the time, and that resulting in like, oh, I can't use the maul. I think there's been at least once in combat where I've had to drop the maul entirely and then draw. I've been keeping a warhammer on my back, so I have a one-handed option, but then I've been really close to encumbered until I took the hefty haul. So anyway, it's been a whole thing for me. But then all of a sudden, here it is, this Earthbreaker hammer that can be either one or two-handed. And boy, was I tickled pink.
I'm just imagining like the in-universe explanation as to why this is suddenly Mag is aware of this is like, was Mag reading like Hammers Monthly or something like that? And
Exactly.
I gotta get this thing.
Right. So last night after she woke up too soon and couldn't get back to sleep, she's wandering around Dawnflower
After her horrifying nightmare.
Yeah, and someone has left a copy of Hammers Monthly out on the in the reading room, and Mag gets to paging through it, and she sees this design for this incredible new hammer. And just to give listeners a little bit more color on what this is, mechanically it can be wielded one or two-handed.
Yep.
The description is, this massive hammer's metal head is shaped or molded with heavy metal wedges along its primary striking surface, enabling it to tear through shields and armor with ease. And the way it's rendered, it has one flat edge and one pointed edge, which I'm sure there's some actual name for this sort of a hammer as a tool that is just a giant version of. But that also means that the thing has a couple of cool extra bells and whistles. Like most hammers, it has the shove trait, so you can push things around with it after you strike them. But this one also has the raising trait, which means
Which is a weird new thing.
Oh, is that? Okay, so
Yeah.
I had never seen it before, so that is validating as well. It can do extra damage to objects if you try to smash things with it, as opposed to combatants. And it also is versatile P, meaning you can choose to deal piercing damage rather than bludgeoning damage with it because it has one pointy end and one flat end.
Yeah.
So that is also such a cool
Yeah.
new option to be able to change my damage type. I give up a little bit of damage with it. It is 1d10 when wielded two-handed instead of the Maul's d12. And one-handed, it's only d6. A bastard sword, I think, is 1d8 one-handed and 1d12 two-handed. So it's not in the absolute sense that most damage I could be dealing out, but I am so pleased with it mechanically. And really, it's like, if this had existed in the first place at the time when I made the Maul, this is what I would have been hefting the whole time. So I'm pretty pleased with having found it now.
Yeah, it came out in the Treasure Vault book, which came out in February. So this is some new hotness for sure. So we talked about this a little bit off air, and basically because this is a hammer, and Mag already has the hammer that she made from reforging Haplo's bastard sword. Rather than going through the rigmarole of like transferring runes one at a time from one thing to the other, we're going to do a crafting check to tell the story of Mag spending the day from the drawing that she sees of this thing that makes her want one. She's going to attempt to use her knowledge of crafting to change the maul into this new option, the Earthbreaker. So that's going to be an entire day of work at the anvil at Blades for Glades, out back behind Blades for Glades.
And is that where Carmen Rajani used to hang out before he became a plot device?
It was Carmen Rajani's business that some would say he hung out at while he was being artfully developed as a to later exist plot device.
Yes, sorry, I didn't mean for that to be a swipe in
You
any of your storytelling.
you garbage human.
Yeah. The reason I said it that way is that at the time that we were interacting with him, I just thought of him as as background noise, and then he all of a sudden took on this prominence in the story. So yeah, she's going to try to remake one flat end of her maul into this kind of conical, pointed, and extra dope earth-breaking surface. So, okay, you need crafting?
Yeah, I need crafting, and this is going to be to spend the day changing the maul into an Earthbreaker. We're looking at a DC 19 crafting check.
Okay. Well, here goes on day 1. 17 on the roll for 28.
Oh. Yeah, you do it.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, so Mag, as the sun goes down on the evening of Serenith the 17th, Mag looks down and is pleased with her handiwork that she now has a slightly smaller but far more versatile implement of destruction in front of herself.
Yeah, that thing is awesome.
It's so awesome.
It's so awesome. This
could
raising...
not be more pleased.
Yeah. The raising thing, whenever you deal damage to an object, including shields and animated objects, structure, or vehicle with a raising weapon, it takes extra damage. You know, that's niche. It's real niche, but it's also real cool that you've got something that when you need that, you've got it. In addition to having one-handed, two-handed, bludgeoning, piercing. It's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, but it also
if
is
anybody
an Earthbreaker.
Needs a chariot bashed, you know who to call.
Yeah. Should be tons of those down in the dungeon, so perfect.
Yeah.
Finally get that horse familiar I've been wanting.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this thing does automatic critical damage to horses, so...
Horsebreaker, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with my remaining 9 days, I will go into the woods and look for Jarl Mesman's wolf.
Okay.
No, I want to... so this means that the Warhammer can go. I've been hanging on to this one-handed Warhammer, and now I don't need that anymore, so I want to sell it and transfer the striking rune that was on it to the silver hatchet that I've been carrying around, because, y'all, this seems like a time when silver weaponry might be extra useful.
Okay, let's get another crafting check. As the second day of crafting happens. There's another DC 19.
And that is, of course, an 18 for the roll.
So Mag fails to
Lower than you wanted.
transfer this striking rune. I have a question. Is it possible that Isthin is aiding Mag over the course of this day?
Oh.
Yeah, I think he'd definitely like to get away from Haplo's house for a little bit while he's trying to process what's been going on. So I would imagine he'd hang out with Mag since they're now sort of getting friendly,
Yeah, for sure.
and would love to geek out on crafting.
Yeah, I guess they would then they might be passing the day, hanging out and bonding, right? There's like a friendship and a kinship there, but also there's some substantive talk about crafting techniques, and perhaps Mag is sharing the art and the schematic for this Earthbreaker, geeking out over that, and maybe trying to get some tips crafting in silver, which is not something that she's probably got much experience with, and explains why she's falling a little short. So yeah, let's see if we can get her over the line.
We've seen a lot of Isthin's sort of wizard side But I think seeing the diagram of the Earthbreaker, seeing the transferring of the hatchet would just like totally get his fighter side geeking out. Like, oh, that's brilliant! It's got a spike and it's got a head. Oh, I love it. So here is that crafting check. Will a natural 20 do it?
A natural 20 will do it. So that's going to push Mag's crafting check from an 18 to a 20. So
That's better,
Woo.
right? That's helpful.
That
That'll
is
do, pig.
exactly
That'll
what we
do.
need.
yeah, so through camaraderie, fellowship, the two of you manage.
Rings.
Yeah, fellowship.
Nice.
There's the number of rings that you're talking about. It's nuts, guys. But yeah, that's
Hours.
enough to transfer this rune over to the silver hatchet that you, I believe, found with the ghouls, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. That's going to cost a little bit of a price in terms of materials to get it done, but it's not a big deal for y'all.
And then we still have one extra striking rune floating around because of various weapons transferring. Does anybody need a striking rune on a weapon? Anybody short? Because
I'll take it. I got some
Yours-
monsters coming up that I think would really benefit from a little extra damage, so...
I
That's
guess
true, we
I
could
should
throw
ask
it.
that in a slightly different way. Mag now has one remaining weapon that does not have a striking rune, which is the bola. But if we end up hurling that thing around, might as well get an extra damage die.
love
Lars, we
it.
have the time, right? We're
Sure.
here now for long enough. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I have to imagine that after the work of building the Earthbreaker and working together to craft this beautiful silver hatchet, this bola is sort of like eating your French fries after you've finished your Big Mac. You know what I mean? It's a
But
little
you
bit
saved
of
the
a-
best for last.
It's the best
I guess
part.
it is the best.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, we love bolas up in here.
What's wrong with what you're What's
Sorry.
wrong with you?
We definitely know what they are.
Yeah, we know exactly what
Yeah.
they are. We know exactly how to use them, and we're about to get a +0 striking bola. So let's go. Let's make that
Can we
happen.
like light it on fire and play with it like fire poi?
Yeah, we should.
Firepoi are actually in the system, by the way.
I want fire poi. I
Yeah,
mean, Troll's
for
too
the
short for fire poi, but I
Extinction
totally
Curse.
want fire poi.
AP.
So Troll spends a month retraining so she can have fire poi.
My understanding of what a bola is that it's a small mammal, maybe a rodent.
Okay. We're getting closer.
All right, that's a 19 on the die for a 30.
Easy. Easy. At the end of this third day of crafting, Mag now feels the energy radiating from these two balls with a string that you've carefully engraved this rune on this dumb little string connecting these two
interesting.
balls.
Huh. Yeah, I thought it was a kind of soup, but I think I can picture what you're saying.
Rune soup, delicious.
That is everything that Mag has been wanting to do to prepare for what comes next. So any additional time, I think she would just be earning income, maybe from crafting. Now she's on a roll. She's
I was gonna say she could like be the smith in town for a couple days.
Exactly. She's gonna wander around town, seeing if anybody.
Anyone
You need
needs some
anything
smithing?
attached to this? You need anything detached from that? You need any flat stuff turned into points? Pointy stuff turned flat? I got all that.
Point your flats. I can flat your
Yep.
points.
Come on down to Skull Crushers.
Pointer.
Crushing the house?
Maker space.
Makerspace. This is like a 2000s like Web 2.0 kind of deal we've got going on over here.
That's
now
right.
you gotta offer glass blowing. Look what you did.
You know, traditional blacksmiths can't handle the diversified economy that today's. Okay.
Yeah, you
That's
got to
what
be
Mag is gonna
agile.
say.
You got to be agile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And disrupting.
With her remaining 8 days in town, Mag will start a YouTube channel about the crafting that she's done.
She goes viral and she retires.
Just remember,
Thank you for coming to our show.
we mean this as literally as we can. Smash that like button.
Ah, it's just too good.
Yeah.
So towards the end of your stay in town, one of you is interrupted by Mayor Menhemez. David, if Mag is going to be spending some time earning a little bit of income doing blacksmithing, that means that Mayor Menhemez knows exactly where to find at least Mag.
Yeah.
So maybe as one of your, as you're wrapping up one of these jobs that you're doing, the Osif Menhemez pushes past your customer and just starts talking a mile a minute. He says, Magdaruna, I'm very glad to see you here. I know that what you're doing in town is probably very very important. I don't want to question any part of what it is that you're doing, but I'm afraid that we may not have been fast enough finding this so-called motley man. And he looks distraught.
So you're saying we shouldn't have taken 2 weeks off in the middle?
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
Good talk.
She's dead. Just kidding. And he continues. Doriana, she's taken a sudden turn for the worse. Her maladies, they're no longer. It's not just the nighttime anymore. She's taken to, for these last couple of days, just a day-long walking mania. I'm beside myself. Emnala is beside herself. As a father of daughters, it's more than I can bear. Do you understand, Magdaruna? I don't know if I'm making any sense at all right now.
You're making sense enough, I think. And in the intervening days, I understand from Trill, she's come to believe there's some possible connection to your daughter's latent abilities. I don't have much of a head for magic and how it all works, but my hope is we may be making progress in our understanding.
Listen, Mag. This is something I wanted you to see for yourself. But I have to tell you right now. Doriana, in addition to the waking dream that she's walking through, her right hand, it's shriveled up to almost nothing. And we'll pick up from there.
Ooh.
Next time.
Oh my gosh, are we going to fail at saving Doriana? I wanted to save her hand.
Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy, using trademarks and copyrights owned by Paizo that are covered under that policy. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way, and we are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. All original characters and content in the Roots of Ruin are the property of Tabletop Gold, and all rights are reserved. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. On our website, tabletopgold.com, you can learn more about us and our shows, pick up great merch, and connect to the best online community in all of podcasting. Thanks for listening.